The Cleveland Browns return to the football field on Saturday to face the Green Bay Packers. Let's talk about it. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, I see the numbers going up. Don't miss out. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Become an everydayer for yourself. The show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDON NFL, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. January 13th, 2024. Cleveland Browns, we all know, Houston Texans. And what we thought was maybe going to be a magical playoff ride, season ended down in the Big H in Houston. Well, now almost 7 months to the day, the Cleveland Browns take the field on Saturday against the Green Bay Packers. To say I'm excited is probably an understatement. Tiny bit of the Hall of Fame game last week. Game was obviously cut short. Couple of games Thursday night, Giants, Lions, Panthers, Patriots. But man, the itch comes back, and it comes back real quick. So we're going to discuss what we're going to be looking for on the offensive side of the ball, what we're going to be looking for on the defensive side of the ball, some general game thoughts, and of course, new look, special teams. Offensively, we know, and this is the one that we kind of have an idea who's playing and who's not, but going by PUP list, non-football injury list, they've already announced Deshaun Watson out. We kind of know the names that probably won't play. So we're going to make an effort here on the guys that we think are predominantly going to see action on Saturday. Quarterback position, Jameis Winston. And certainly Jameis will get the start. Jordan Love will start for the Packers. For Jameis, it's, just going to be, is he starting to find his way into this new team, this new situation, this new offense, new players that he'll be throwing to. Jameis will be slated to be the backup quarterback, as we all know. Hopefully the plan will be that Jameis Winston sees a lot of reps this summer, and we don't see Jameis Winston take another snap for the rest of the 2024 season. Would be grand, wouldn't it? DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. It was a special summer for DTR last year. Really just came in, and probably because he was a fifth year senior coming into the NFL, he was a little bit more mature. Certainly took to the NFL and the Browns offense like a fish to water. You want to see, is he going to be even sharper this year? Has to have a little bit of confidence going for himself. Did get a huge win last year at home against Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was part of that drive that led to that win. I will always say, and everybody knows, I thought he was going to rally the troops in Denver until he took that unfortunate hit. So, will it be DTR, pushing, that, hey, I am not far from being the backup quarterback for this job. Tyler Huntley, and who knows how that's going to go after Jameis Winston. It could be, 1 week where it's Huntley, maybe the next one in, and then maybe the next week it's DTR, the next one, and we'll see how they choose to play it. For the Browns, I think the best opportunity would be for Tyler Huntley to play well, show well, and hopefully find his way that somebody else is willing to maybe throw the Browns a day 3 pick. You get all the draft capital you can. Browns probably know who their 3 quarterbacks are. Running back wise, I'm assuming we're going to see Pierre Strong. We're going to see John Kelly, of course, and we will see the rookie Aidan Robbins. Pierre Strong, look, he could, be a contributor as a return man. We all know the speed that Pierre Strong has. Ball security for Pierre Strong will be key. It was one of the things that plagued him last year. John Kelly feels like a guy who will be around Cleveland forever and probably never be on the 53-man roster. Was a guy I really, really liked back in the day at Tennessee. But it tells you the type of guy that John Kelly is. The team, like the Browns, want to keep him around. Obviously, good personality, good character guy, somebody they want to keep around. For John Kelly, it's all about playing in these games because there's probably not much opportunity. He's going to get his name called, certainly, during the regular season. Aidan Robbins, look, there's an opportunity here for Aidan Robbins. Aidan Robbins goes in tomorrow, runs 4.5, 5 yards a carry. Nobody's going to forget this type of stuff. Yes, we're going to have guys, Dante Foreman start to come back, Naheem Hines start to come back. One day, Nick Chubb eventually. We don't know what it is. Could be soon, could be late, whatever. Nick Chubb will be coming back. But Aidan Robbins goes in there, shows well. It's certainly going to keep, certainly, an idea, Deuce Staley. Hey, I like the kid. There's an opportunity for Aidan Robbins to make a little noise here for himself. Wide receiver, David Bell, Cedric Tillman, Jamari Thrash, Prochet, Mike Woods a second. And, so you want to see, and of course, Matt Landers, who's been, kind of the summer superstar. For Bell, Tillman, you think they should show well. I don't think Moore's going to play. Pretty sure Judy won't play. Pretty sure Amari Cooper won't play. But you want to see what Thrash can bring. Will Matt Landers maybe give the Austin Watkins from last summer vibe as a big play guy should make things happen? There's not a lot of room here to make a roster spot. Prochet probably fighting with the Woods and maybe even Landers. Browns have 6 they're going to keep. For these other guys, you could be fighting for certainly practice squad security, or certainly trying to find your way onto another roster. So it's certainly going to be interesting the way that play, but you want to see Cedric Tillman has been such a strong camp for him to this point. You want to see that translate over into game action. David Bell, you throw it to him, he catches it, but the problem is right now it's a lot of guys in front of him. He's not the most athletic of the bunch. Really got some pretty sure hands. So certainly interesting to watch how it's going to work for David Bell. Jamari Thrash, though, a lot of eyes on Jamari Thrash. Can he find a way to get some reps here this summer? Tight end Mitchell Payton Zaire, Giovanni Ricci, and Trayton Welch. Right now, these guys are battling for the 3rd tight end spot. Do I personally think the Browns could use an upgrade over any one of these 3 for the 3rd tight end spot? Yeah, but I've been saying that for months, and the Browns haven't done anything about it. But I want to see how Trayton Welch looks. Certainly coming from Wyoming, had a nice final year and career out there. So for Trayton Welch, could be his opportunity. But I've heard some really good things about Mitchell Payton Zaire and how hard he's been working, and he did have a really good summer for this team last year as well. Offensive tackle, it looks like he's going to be starting James Hudson at left tackle. Juwan Jones at right tackle, Jermaine Afidi, Adeniji. These guys are going to see a ton of reps here. So we'll see the way it all works out. Juwan probably going to be the first guy off the field out of that bunch. Browns don't really have much youth at the offensive tackle position. Certainly something we thought maybe they would address last year in the draft. They did not. Guard position, you figure Joel and obviously, Wyatt will not be playing. Michael Dunn, who, we'll see, probably not going to do anything. Zach Zinter, Javeion Cohen. Cohen is a guy that they kind of coveted and was really, really ecstatic about getting him in here. Wyatt Davis, Zach Johnson, but really, really looking for Zach Zinter. A lot of people had him higher than the Browns got him. Certainly fell in the draft due to the injury suffered, ironically enough, against Ohio State and Mike Hall, to close out his collegiate career, missed the playoff run. So there was certainly a chance of, Zach Zinter got to be part of that. Could have pushed his draft stock. But when you're kind of the guy just there and you're only doing meetings, it's really difficult to have your stock not fall. He couldn't do anything. So Zach Zinter's certainly going to be a surprise. Center will be interesting. You don't think Ethan Postic's going to play. Luke Whippler, as far as the roster is concerned, is the only other center on the roster. So who of these reserve offensive linemen maybe plays some center tomorrow? Certainly looks like there's a clear path for Luke Whippler to be the number 2 center for this team, but you always need an emergency. Who would be the guy to snap? God forbid Luke Whippler had to start and then couldn't. So my thoughts on what we're going to watch on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to switch it up. We're going to talk the defensive side of the ball. Browns football is back. We continue your latest Locked On Browns. Baseball races are heating up. My Mets right in the thick of it. Guardians certainly in the thick of it. And if you want to catch a game before we get to the postseason, Game Time is who you need to use. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. You kind of kill the competition. Drive out to the stadium, start your tailgate, and then start just searching for tickets. Maybe 20 minutes. Half hour for the game, secure in, get yourself a great deal. Killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying major league tickets. The last minute deals are a priority. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The zone deals save even more. You can choose a section. You let Game Time choose the seats. You get a real nice hookup. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know what you're getting into before you actually go into the ballpark. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app. You create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Continuing on your latest Locked On Browns. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen. The numbers are coming up. Let's go. Let's get those subscriptions up. Everydayers becoming everydayer. You won't miss anything. Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. The show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Now we go to the defensive side of the ball. Myles Garrett, spectator in preseason games this time of his career. Zadarius Smith still banged up. We know he won't be a part of things. Ogbenai Okoronkwo, will he play? Won't he? I mean, a couple of reps. Remember, came off the late injury, did come back late in the season to help the team a little bit. No question about whether or not Ogbo is going to make this team. There's a question of, can some of the young guys maybe take some reps from maybe an Ogbo Okoronkwo, and of course, certainly Zadarius Smith. Alex Wright, the developmental path for Alex Wright coming off of 5 sacks in year 2, certainly impressive. He's got the athletic ability. He's got the size. He's got the length. He can line up in the inside. He can line up on the outside. I really think by the time 2024 is over, Alex Wright will be considered the second best defensive end on the Cleveland Browns and the heir apparent or the bookend to Myles Garrett going further. Isaiah McGuire wasn't a ton of playing time last year and finally started to get, when some guys get dinged up, Isaiah was out there. Browns valued him. He certainly had great college tape at Missouri. You want to see, again, the growth from year 1 to year 2 for a player like Isaiah McGuire, who should see plenty of reps against Green Bay, and then certainly the other 2 preseason games going further. Also at the edge position, Isaiah Thomas, believe it or not, is still around with this team. Rookie 2 years ago, everybody remembers that Jonah Williams sweet movie put on him and a sack of Joe Burrow a couple seasons ago. Still hanging around. You have Marcus Haynes just been here for a hot minute, signed earlier this week. Jeremiah Martin, but solid players still. The Browns have a good roster, even when you talk about the guys that will not play in this game. It is a quality preseason roster. Defensive tackle, you probably figure you're going to see Maurice Hurst. You probably figure, of course, Mike Hall, Siaki Ika, Juwon Briggs. That's going to be the meat and potatoes of it. You have these guys competing for spots. We know Shelby Harris is going to make this team. We know that Alvin Thomas is going to make this team. We certainly know Quinn Jefferson is going to make this team. Who is D tackle 4? Who is D tackle 5? It is certainly a battle between Maurice Hurst, Siaki Ika, Juwon Briggs. Mike Hall, certainly safe. But we're going to get really, really excited to see the debut of Mike Hall. As you all know, my good buddy Pete Smith worked with him at Shrewsboro High School. Mike Hall got that call to go to Columbus, become a Buckeye. Got that call once again to stay in the great state of Ohio, become a Cleveland Brown, play for his hometown team. So Mike has had quite the football journey and has not left the confines of the state of Ohio. But certainly looking out for Juwon Briggs. Juwon Briggs had a nice career, nice close to his career at Cincinnati. Granted, he was a late pick for this team, but Browns still trying to find, they wouldn't know what the today is of that defensive tackle room, trying to find the tomorrow. You got one step there with Mike Hall. You may have another step with Juwon Briggs. And for Siaki Ika, the question for Siaki Ika is, can you erase everything from your rookie year? There were things he needed to do. He needed to get himself in better shape. We've seen that already. Siaki Ika looks fantastic. A lot more trimmed up. But does that translate? Can he penetrate? Can he make some plays? So we'll start seeing all that tomorrow with Siaki Ika, rounding out Sam Kamara on the inside. Sam Kamara has had a fantastic summer to this point, has been dinged up a little bit. So we'll see if Sam Kamara can get the opportunity to get on the field tomorrow. Also, Chris Williams there. But this is really just 4 guys battling for 2 positions. And it's not really even 4 for 2. It's 3 for 1 because we know Mike Hall's going to make this roster. Linebackers, we're going to see Devin Bush. Had a couple of nice reps, has had a couple of interceptions, a couple of BBUs in practice. Bouquet Watson, it's been a nice start thus far. Does that physicality, does that tackling ability, will that translate this weekend, when he gets on the field for the first time, in an NFL game? Mahmoud Diabate, one of my favorite guys from last summer, certainly showed his wear, showed his ability, during the preseason games last year. Certainly the opportunity is there for him. Was a good special team player last year, was a core special team player last year. So Mahmoud Diabate certainly has his opportunity. Browns maybe only going to keep 5. And we know it's going to be JOK. We know it's going to be Hicks. You figure you got that battle there. Is it Bush? Is it Watson? Is it Fields? Is it Diabate? Caleb Johnson will play a little. He was signed due to the injuries. Winston Reed here. These guys probably going to play maybe most of the second half, if not all of the second half. But the real battle and the real eyes are certainly going to be on Devin Bush. They are certainly going to be on Bouquet Watson. They're certainly going to be on Mahmoud Diabate. Browns linebacker group should be strong. It really should. You got a great headlining duo in Jordan Hicks and, of course, Jeremiah Usu-Koramoah. But filling in after that, and these guys are probably going to have to make a lot of their hay on special teams, and we'll see the way that works out. A little bit more about the special teams, of course, when we get to segment 3. Cornerback-wise, we know Greg Newsome will not be playing. My assumption would be that Denzel Ward's not playing. My assumption would also be in year 3, Martin Emerson, as valuable as become, is probably not going to play. We'll see if they do. We know what we're looking for. But you figure Cameron Mitchell, and Cameron Mitchell, who is probably on the roster and basically slated probably as your backup nickel. But if Cameron Mitchell, it doesn't really need to take those nickel reps now. So Cameron Mitchell probably could start tomorrow, probably could start on the outside. With these corners, you don't ever want to just take a guy and basically say he's a slot. You want these guys to have versatility. You want them to have adaptability. And Cameron Mitchell certainly can play outside, certainly can play inside. And this is something that, we know and we have seen thus far, certainly from Jim Schwartz. He doesn't care where he puts his corners. If he likes the matchup of so-and-so against this wide receiver, it doesn't matter if they line up on the outside. It doesn't matter if they line up on the inside. If he likes his player versus their player, his player can kind of trail and go wherever the situation is best suited for the Cleveland Browns defense. We'll also certainly get to see, the veterans both brought here on special teams. You're not going to keep them both. Justin Hardy and Tony Brown, both of them are not going to make this team. Just being special teams players is not going to be enough to keep you around on the Cleveland Browns right now. Miles Harden, the rookie, certainly I am looking forward to. Not the biggest of bodies, but my type of cornerback. Pete Smith and I, we've talked about this for years. Give me the chirpiness. Give me the physicality. The guy that is basically, the Jimmy Hart of the secondary or the defense, where he don't shut up, constantly antagonizing the offense. I love those guys. You need those guys. They are worth their weight in gold. Miles Harden's got a little of that dog in him, so to speak. Khalifa Halassi, this was somebody the Browns picked up last year, certainly at the cutdowns. Kansas City cut him. Browns brought him in. He was on the 53 the entire season. Certainly saw some playing time with injuries. He's not a guy, and it's similar maybe to Martin Emerson in just that he doesn't wow you overall as just being this athletic type of guy. But where he is good athletically, quick feet, long arms, translates certainly to his coverage ability. So for him, is it a step up in year 2? So certainly something to watch as he tries to find a way to make this roster 2 years in a row. Vincent Gray, good guy, big guy, nice length, nice size. And also keep in mind when I'm talking about these corners, somebody might have to play a little safety tomorrow. Because look, Grant Delpit, Juan Thornhill, McLeod, we all know that the Browns' 3 top safeties for this upcoming season. But the question is going to be how much they play in the preseason. I'm not saying they wouldn't play. I'm not saying they would play week 1. But if they don't, you have Bell, the Anthony Bell, on a PUP list. Hasn't come off it. So the Anthony Bell is not playing tomorrow. So that would leave, of the safeties who played for you last year, that would leave Ronnie Hickman. That's it. You need at least 2. So Ronnie Hickman. And then, of course, you have guys around like Chris Edmonds, guy like Brady Breeze. Those would be the 3, in my opinion, that might be playing tomorrow, unless you play one of the veterans, which would seem ludicrous to me. So I don't know. That's not necessarily going to happen. So who of these corners is also maybe going to take some safety reps? That is a big thing to watch for. Versatility, again, it's a nice thing to have when you're a guy who's a fringe roster player. We're going to continue on here. Your latest Locked On Browns. Yes, I'm a little geeked up. Everybody stick around. We'll talk a little special teams and some last final game thoughts. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. The FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. By the way, take the Browns and the points tomorrow over the Green Bay Packers. Head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Jeff Lloyd, we are closing out your first pregame show, preseason week 1 of the 2024 Cleveland Browns season. I appreciate you all who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, you guys are pretty stinking amazing. I suggest everybody become an everydayer. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Now, we got, 3 preseason games under our belts at this point. Starting to see a little bit more of how these special teams are working. Saw something interesting where maybe there's some teams considering, can I have because you have the kickers kicking off in such an odd way that, you know what? I got a linebacker who can maybe make that kick. I got a reserve defensive back that can maybe make that kickoff kick. And if they can, it allows you to take your kicker off the field, put another defender on the field. So legitimately, you would be playing, 11 versus 10, counting the ball carrier, of course. You've got a kind of a glimpse of the way it is. And, weather was a factor in both games, on Thursday night. But you're basically seeing guys, take a couple of steps up, and they're kind of almost running it, in my opinion, kind of like a toss play. You're taking a couple steps up, just trying to find your angle and hit it 100 miles an hour. Haven't really seen anybody break anything yet. As far as kick return, punt, everything, still trying to find out the way the punt routine works. Still trying to see what is the best type of player to cover kicks. So there is a lot going on as far as special teams. And it's going to be, again, a little bit difficult to get a true read on things because you got to keep in mind, a lot of these guys who are going to be playing special teams for the Cleveland Browns against the Packers are probably guys that are not going to be on the Cleveland Browns when you tee it up week 1, September 8th against the Dallas Cowboys. So certainly something to monitor there, but we want to start to maybe get an idea of what Bubba Ventrone sees in his head that can maybe he sees as an advantage to find a way to get your biggest boost that you can out of your special teams, and certainly make sure that these kickers are kicking the ball into the zone where they need to. Otherwise, you're handing the other team the ball at the 40-yard line, and you do not want to be doing that. I think you're going to see some breakout performances tomorrow. I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to be one of those guys. I think Matt Landers is going to catch a big one tomorrow. Matt Landers has been a really, really difficult guy to cover all summer long to this point. 6'4", 215, runs like a dang deer. Those type of guys usually find success in the preseason. So certainly going to keep some eyes, on Matt Landers. I think Zach Zinter is going to show out. I think a guy like Zach Zinter's got a lot of pent up into him right now. The Ohio State game, great time, obviously, for his team. Not the best time for him so much as he had ended his collegiate career. Had to watch his team win the national championship. Zach Zinter is probably ready to go and probably ready to eat somebody for breakfast. So if I was, somebody on that Green Bay Packers, defensive line, or even a linebacker, I would have my head on a swivel because I do believe you are going to get an aggravated version of Zach Zinter. To get the first glimpse of Mike Hall Jr. And keeping in mind, a couple of guys dropping that Aaron Donald stuff this week. And, it's great that you think the kid's got ability. It really is. It's great that you think the kid's got a boatload of potential. It is. But there are certain players in all sports and at certain positions that we just maybe don't compare dudes to. And look, I have been doing this for a very long time. This is now my 8th season with you all covering the Cleveland Browns. And all these prospects I talked to over the years that played the D-line position. Who do you watch? Aaron Donald. Who do you watch? Aaron Donald. Who do you watch? Aaron Donald. And it's great, guys. It really is. And maybe you'll pick up a thing or two. But, you don't necessarily learn from one of the greatest to ever do it. It just something innate inside them that, the vast majority of the entire world does not have. But when guys tell you and say things like that, you understand just what it is inside Mike Hall Jr. And look, anybody who's been a long time listener of Locked On Browns knows this. I mean, Pete and I were talking about Mike Hall on Locked On Browns when Mike Hall was still at Streetsboro High School. So we're not surprised that Mike got here. And look, it takes a lot to go from great high school player to go to a program like Ohio State and become a second-round pick in the NFL. Not everybody goes from, top recruit and makes it to this point. But you got a guy who's in where he's from. His family is around. Close relationship with his mother. Obviously, a young baby at home. Mike Hall is in a great situation, and we talk all the time about trying to take these guys who are rookies, prospects, put them in a great position for them to be able to succeed. Mike Hall is in that position. Make no mistake about it. And tomorrow could maybe just be the beginning of what could be a great great lengthy run for Mike Hall as a Cleveland Brown. I guess if there's anybody else, look, Devin Bush has always been a personal favorite of mine. I have a good relationship with the Bush family. So I really want to see Devin Bush put some of that on the back burner, some of the stuff that, has certainly slowed down his career from where he was a top first-round pick. I don't even think a lot of people even knew he was on the Seattle Seahawks last year. So is that knee, is that body rounding back into shape? Devin Bush is still a young man, still a great player. So hopefully, this is a chance to tell and prove to himself and prove to the rest of the NFL that Devin Bush is still a player within this league. And if that's the case, Browns added this to JOK and to Jordan Hicks. Could be a win-win for Bush. Certainly could be a win-win for the Cleveland Browns. I think the Browns are going to win tomorrow. I said it with you guys, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago to Pete Smith. I think the Browns are going to have a really strong preseason. They have a really, really good roster. They're probably from 15 to 60 is a really good roster. They got to cut it down to 53. But, the Browns have some really, really solid football players who may not make this team. So all eyes towards Green Bay. We will be up and running right after the game is over. My name is Jeff Lloyd. I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd is a bunch of filthy animals, but they're my filthy animals. I suggest you join the filthy animals, become an everyday by subscribing to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things dog pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.